everybody, on this edition of everyone's favorite college basketball show on YouTube. The captain, Mike Holland, and I will dive into the transfer classes of TCU and UNLV, as well as chop it up about a ton of recent commitments throughout the land of college basketball. Join us along with the liveliest live chat in all of college basketball, won't you? Recording live from somewhere. This is One and Done.
Get out the insurance cards, get out the co-pays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
It's time once again for everybody to come aboard that One and Done train. Welcome to One and Done. Bienvenidos a todos a One and Done, your fast break of college basketball information. We are powered by the galaxy's greatest website, drroto.com. I'm your sometimes humble host. My name is Jay Heinrich. I happen to be the conductor of the aforementioned One and Done train. Find me on X at Dr. William Ken, and I'll follow you back. Do yourself a favor and follow this man at MC Holland34 on Twitter. El Capitan around these parts. He's the captain of the One and Done ship. The OG Money Mike, if you didn't know. Mr. Mike Holland. Mike, what it do?
Yo. Hey, I know we're like 7 months away from college basketball. These NBA playoffs have been kind of crazy with these top seeds just blowing big leads, man. So that's been kind of interesting to watch. But yeah, man, I'm excited. We're rounding. I would say we're rounding third base, maybe, or at least touching third base here as we head to the end of the transfer portal, I would say. So looking forward to talk about. We had a lot of commitments today that we're going to talk about, and I love doing these team spotlights and kind of breaking down how these guys are going to kind of fit into the systems and things like that. So glad to be back with you, man. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, good to be back here live on YouTube on the One and Done college basketball channel, WON and Done college basketball. That's what you need to search on the old YouTube search bar. Push those like and subscribe buttons as well as the notification bells so you don't miss a minute of our coverage. We're going live on a Wednesday, so if you're watching with us live, we appreciate you. Had those three big quote-unquote commitments today, some names that most of you and most college basketball fans will recognize if you've been hanging out with us. For sure you have. We're going to get to those commitments, a couple of team spotlights like Mike said, and who else? Who knows what else we'll get into. Wherever the live chat takes us. C Thuggin, our guy Cam, hopping in the live chat right away. What's up, dude? Good to see you, man. Always good to see you in the live chat.
Yep.
And then our guy CC Hustle, helping Mike with the big board behind the scenes. I don't know if he's building some furniture lately or not from IKEA, but it's good to see him there in the live chat. Good to see at the Real Napier, our guy Nape. And then, of course, Eric the Blue, dropping the fire emojis at Fantasy Nav in those Twitter streets. Make sure you give him a follow as well. While you're there, follow at One and Done. CBB is what you need to do on all the socials, Twitter, Sky Blue, Instagram, TikTok. Just do yourself a favor and follow them all now. And as the content gets rolling, it'll be there. So follow them all and maybe hang out with our guy Steve a little bit over with the RPS guys too. Good to see Steve checking into the chat. Mike's hung out with Steve a couple of times, and Steve, we need to get Steve on the show, man. We got to get Steve on here and talk some off-season hoops with Steve. Good to see you there in the live chat, man. Check out what he's doing over at RPS as well. So, all right, good stuff here. Mike, where do you want to start tonight, man? Why don't we start with those three big commitments? All right, we talked about the three names that we might know. Louisville's James Scott chooses Ole Miss. Ohio State's Sean Stewart heads west to Oregon, depending on which direction you're watching from. Maybe that's west for you, or maybe that's whatever it is. I'm not geographically coordinated, but either way, Sean Stewart ends up in Oregon, and then Baylor's Josh Ojanwa, backfills Stewart in Columbus, so just taking his spot, sliding right in there with Ohio State. So, Mike, these three guys all in your top 200 on the big board over at drroto.com. Make sure you get over to drroto.com and check out the top 500 transfer portal big board that Mike writes up, and Nape helping out with a lot of that behind the scenes as well. Scott was 90th or is 90th. Sean Stewart is 165th, and Ojanwa is 185 in the top 500. So what are your thoughts on these moves, fit-wise, personnel-wise? Any question marks, head scratchers? How you feeling?
Yeah, well, it's nice to get three, when the portal first opens, it's like bam, 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 like you got all these top guys flying off the board, and every time we've done a show here, every 3 to 4 days, it feels like we've only gotten maybe one guy or two guys that jump off. We got 3 in one day, so that's pretty nice to see. And James Scott, look, man, it's a nice pickup here for Ole Miss. I'm going to be really interested to see how Chris Beard uses him. They have Malik Dia, but I think he could play some 4 for them. They also have Corey Chest coming in from LSU, so Beard probably looking at last season and wanting to get a little more size in there. They're going to be much bigger than they were last year. So Scott is somebody who I was pleasantly surprised with last year at Louisville. Didn't think he would have as big of an impact, but he's a pretty solid player. Sean Stewart, man, after you're playing DFS, like the Sean Stewart, man, that's just you just never know what you're going to get. The guy's got a load of talent for him, McDonald's All-American. I wasn't feeling the Oregon move for him, but it just seems like a kind of a weird move for me. It's a crowded front court, man. Like Kwame Evans is a budding star. There's a chance that Nate Biddle might come back. Miles Goodman transferring from Penn State. Devin Pryor from down here at UT. He's coming in. So there's a lot of bodies there. I'm kind of surprised that he's going out to Oregon. But either way, he has a big-time ceiling if Altman can get there and lock it for him. So we'll see how that works out. Ajanwa kind of makes sense for Ohio State to add him. I think he's going to be a big impact player for them. I might be too low on him. Like, he's great on the glass, on the rim. He can defend. That changed Baylor's entire season when he went down because they were forced to play Norchad back at the 5, which he went to Baylor to not play the 5, and that just kind of created their entire season, and they had other issues as well, obviously. But, with Ohio State here not getting Ojanwa, and they have Christoph Tilley, like that's a pretty solid 1-2 punch at the 5. He's the big man coming in from Santa Clara. And then Brandon Noel is a guy that we've talked about in the mid-majors over from Wright State. He was in the Horizon League, so some projections were showing him and Tilley starting, but now with Ojanwa coming in, I think it makes more sense, obviously, to have a guy like Brandon Noel who's trying to make a huge jump into the Big Ten, more of a backup big here, man. So yeah, there's going to be some big men, roaming the streets here for Ole Miss and Oregon, and then over here at Ohio State. So we'll see how it all plays out as we get through the off-season workouts.
Well, Cam seems to think that Oregon got their designated fouler there. Little Big Ten smack there. And why is it so weird? It's just so weird to talk about Oregon in that conference.
It's just never going to sound.
It's not.
I don't know.
It's not. But hey, this is the land that we live in right now. This is the landscape of college basketball. And the landscape of the live chat gets a little funkier every time Peanut Butter Posse joins us. Is there a deadline to commit? Can guys just stay in the portal until November? Legitimate question here, Mike, right? I mean, I guess technically you could stay in to the portal, right? I mean, spots get taken and all of that. But theoretically, couldn't you just stay into the portal and hang out?
We'll just hang out in the portal forever, man. I don't think that there's a set date. You just had to be in by April 22nd,
right?
To be in it, and I would assume that most players will obviously make a decision to either go play overseas, go to the NBA draft, or start their career at Enterprise. So,
all good options
for
sure. All good options for sure, Mike. And believe it or not, out of all of those options for careers, Mike was not the professional basketball player. Believe it or not, he was one of those, but it wasn't pro basketball player. If you can pick it out.
Jeez.
One more comment here before we move on. Our guy Darren, who we love on social media, always interacting with us, and of course, always in the live chat. If Beard needs good players to come to places like Oxford and Lubbock, what could he have done in Austin? I know this is
it doesn't hurt me as much as it hurts you.
But I promise you, man, it's true. They'd be a Final Four team annually in Austin with Chris Beard and the resources here. I don't have any problem saying that. It's not, so I'm going to cry about it later when we get off air. Thanks a lot, Darren. But always good to see you in the live chat. Why don't y'all hit that subscribe button so you can hop in the live chat with Peanut Butter Posse and Darren and our guy C-Thug and Eric hanging out in there, Steve, who else is there? Nape, everybody hanging out in the live chat. So make sure you do that. They'd have a grip on the conference for sure. Okay. All right. Okay. Moving on now, Eric. Moving on, sir. Very good. The liveliest live. They don't call it the liveliest live chat in all of college basketball. That's for sure. Who is they? Everyone calls it that. Okay. And you might as well start calling it too. All right. Here we go. Moving on now. One more before we get to these team breakdowns. A dynamic guard, Mike, getting a waiver this afternoon. San Francisco's Malik Thomas getting to play another season of college ball. A little surprised he's getting another year. We sort of joked about this in the group chat earlier about, this is why some of those guys that we know have zero eligibility left, people are saying, hey, just put your name in the portal because somehow the NCAA will screw this up and they'll just start randomly assigning waivers. I only played in a few of those games and it was only for a little bit. And I don't know. Yeah, so here we go. Malik Thomas getting another shot here. And this isn't just some Jimmy Joe on the end of the bench here. This is first team all WCC type of a player here. 32 minutes a game, average 20 points, 4 boards, steal and a half per game, and 39% from deep. Currently number 50 on the big board. Mike, what are your thoughts?
I mean, my thoughts are I'm probably going to see a little more chaos. Like, if you're Dane Danger, like, you're probably feeling pretty good that this happened, and a lot of other guys. So, yeah, I mean, maybe we're not done, Jay. We keep saying every year that, like, we're going to be done with the craziness of, like, all these guys getting 6th, 7th years. But I don't know, man. We're kind of back at it. I was a little surprised to see this one. It happened. He's a big-time guard. Watched a lot of his games. Virginia is what Rothstein's saying is the strong favorite here. What a pickup that would be for the Cavaliers, who are desperately searching for an offensive identity, and he would give them just that. So, yeah, a big-time pickup if they're able to secure that. But we'll see. I'm sure a lot of teams are going to come knocking on the door now that they know that he has a waiver, which wasn't clear before today.
It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Looking at teams like how much will money play a part in this? How much is just getting a spot on a team that you probably didn't think would be available to you at this point? And now all of a sudden, a team like, Virginia could be knocking on your door here, and we'll see how that goes for Malik Thomas. Good luck for him. Good luck to him. Congrats on getting that extra year. We'll see if this does open sort of that Pandora's box for waivers, or if it will just continue to be as haphazardly chosen as we've come to expect from the horrific and putridly run organization that is the NCAA. We shall see. Oh, wait. I don't want to overlook this. I was going to move on to the team spotlights. But before we do that, Mike, we brought it up on the last show that we had. The ACC was considering going from 20 games down to 18. Got to beef up that out-of-conference schedule, I should say. Try to get some more, build up that resume a little bit, not just in terms of wins, but for the conference in general, strength of schedule, all of those things that go into consideration when the tournament committee is choosing what teams get to go in. And now it's official. The ACC will move from 20 to 18 league games starting this year. Home and homes were a bit concerning, but the league has stated the following matchups will continue twice a year, right? We talked about whatever happens here, there's always going to be teams that play that home at home no matter what. And in the ACC, every year that'll be Boston College and Notre Dame, Clemson and Georgia Tech, Cal, Stanford, Duke, UNC, Florida State, Miami, Louisville, SMU, NC State, Wake Forest, Pitt and Syracuse, and Virginia Tech and Virginia. So listen, when you look at it from that standpoint, Mike, you see we're going to get those rivalry games. We're going to get some of those games that just mean more. Say what you want, whether it's the Toy Poodle Conference or it's a conference really looking to take a step in the right direction here and evolve a little bit and bring in more talent. And by playing more premier games in their non-conference schedule, that can definitely help with that. So what are your thoughts on how this is shaking out for the ACC so far? And do you think that this is going to work out for them in the way that they wanted to?
I like it. I mean, I like that we're keeping, obviously, Duke, UNC. That was a given. Cal, Stanford makes a lot of sense. Florida State, Miami is awesome. You got some random ones on here, man, like Louisville, SMU.
I wasn't going to bring it up. I was going to wait until – go ahead. Like, what?
This a little weird, right? Like,
kind of random, right? Like, if you know something about that, tell us in the live chat. Like, if there's some connection there that we're not making.
Like, what? I don't know. It's just –
maybe it's like teams with red. Those two teams have red in their logo. Put them together.
Yeah, I mean, overall though, Jay, I think you would agree, right? Like this is a good thing. 18 league games, that's enough.
Sure.
I do want to see these other ACC schools play, more marquee matchups, right? And I think over the last 3-4 years, the ACC has been so top heavy that it actually matters. I think the ACC would be fine getting, a couple of teams, to the Final Four every year if they're, if Duke and UNC can take care of business. I think they would absolutely settle for that, as the old Big 12 would settle for like Oklahoma and Texas in football, right? Like, I think they're okay with it. I think this gives opportunity for some of these other programs. NC State's a program that I'm watching really, really closely because of everything that we talked about Will Wade doing over there. And we'll see, man. Like, it makes more sense to do it this way than it was the previous way, where it was just like, it's kind of unfair for some teams to play their rival who is actually really good in the conference, and for other teams to play their rival. It just didn't make a lot of sense the other way. This one makes a little bit more sense to me, at least.
Excuse me. And as we get into these super conferences, right, where basically we're going to end up with, 64 teams, 16 team leagues, and then four 4-team divisions.
That'll make it much easier. Yeah.
Use that like the NFL does, which we got brought up on the last show too, how the NFL scheduling, you play the fourth place team plays the fourth place schedule all the way across and stuff like that. Yeah. It's like, it's going to take some tinkering as they figure this out, with this is all uncharted water with conferences being this size and playing as many games as they need to play here. So what do you got? Southwest Airlines flies more direct flights to Louisville, to Dallas than any other airline. There we go. All right. We found it. It's going to be really easy to make the flight out there, I guess. Thanks, Darren. Always doing the big detective work for us for sure. We definitely appreciate that. Cam saying UNC is throwing next season. And then, okay. Wow. I didn't realize. I don't think that we really got into, because, I think if Cam, you've been around long enough to understand my feelings about Hubert Davis here, but I didn't realize that you were already that far gone on
He's
him.
gone, man. He's seen the roster construction.
Here we go.
Just
all right.
off, man.
And then Peanut Butter Posse hanging in. Yeah, of course.
The Catholic schools. Yes,
that made total sense, right? Syracuse and Pitt. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, Louisville and SMU do sort of seem like the odd ones out, but it might also have something to do with, you got to, if you're going to do this, then you need that many pairs of teams to make it work for the teams that aren't playing these rivalry games or whatever. So you grab a couple that you feel like can showcase your conference and right. You run with it. Why not? So props to the ACC for at least not just sitting on their hands and not doing anything about it, right? Making an adjustment here, trying to boost up that resume, boost up their conference a little bit so they don't get called out on Final Four broadcasts by opposing coaches. It's embarrassing, but nobody said he was wrong when he did it, and nobody even was mad at the guy for doing it. So, what are you going to do about it? You're going to make adjustments, and that's what the ACC has done. Excellent stuff there, Mike, breaking down some of the big news in college basketball. Thanks for hanging out with us right here on One and Done. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons. Hit that subscribe button. We're in subscribers only mode in the live chat, so make sure you hit that button so you can hop in there with Peanut Butter Posse and Cam and Darren and everybody else that's in there hanging out for sure. All right, Mike, I teased it so many times, and now we're finally going to get to it. Let's get to a couple of spotlights on some teams. We made a habit out of this here on One and Done. We like to find two teams with at least somewhat of an interesting class and maybe some question marks along the way, too, that we can talk about. And tonight's show is TCU and UNLV. Let's start with the Horned Frogs up the road from us here in Central Texas. Last year's 16-16 record snapped a 3-year NCAA tournament streak for Jamie Dixon and the Horned Frogs. What do you think the sudden fall-off was? If you look at the offensive end, it's just the efficiency level. It was like the NASDAQ on a Thursday, just a fall off here. Finished 203rd in adjusted offensive efficiency in the country. That was the worst ranking in Dixon's 9-year tenure, as well as the first sub 150 ranking along the way. They couldn't hit a three to save their life. 30% from deep as a team, Mike. So what do?
Yikes.
You just pack the paint. No, you don't. They're not a threat. You're not scared of anybody hitting shots. So just pack the paint, which means you're not getting any offensive rebounds and any second chance points. So if you miss, if you're cold, you're done. You're done, son. They were forced to play very slow, but still somehow to manage to win 9 Big 12 games, Mike. And that a big part, that's Jamie Dixon just being a good coach.
Yeah.
That's a good brand of defensive basketball there. 33rd in adjusted defensive efficiency in the country. And the focus this offseason for Jamie Dixon, Mike, was to retool the backcourt here. So 4 guards inside our top 500, Brock Harding from Iowa, Jaden Pierre from Providence, Luteris Lelevicius from Oregon State, and Tanner Toulson from Utah Valley. So again, when you're really looking to, you might not hit on all these, Mike, but you need to bring in enough talent where you at least hit on a couple of them. At least, 3 of them would be nice. All of them would be better, right? But we know, as much as we've seen these transfer classes come in and it all looks good on paper, and no matter what, something happens, there's not a fit, there's somebody misses their girlfriend back home, or they you know what I mean? Like there's something that goes wrong. So you bring in 4 super talented guards, all in the top 500 in the transfer portal, and you see what you can do. What are your thoughts on Jamie Dixon's haul here for his backcourt?
So when I see this backcourt, man, and you look at kind of the shooting percentages with these guys as far as the outside shooting, it looks like Jamie Dixon said, nah, we're not shooting 30% from 3. But what he is going to do is look like he's going to sacrifice some of that defense, which we've seen teams like Mississippi State, we've seen teams like Oklahoma. We've seen them do that over the past couple of years where they're going to sacrifice a little bit of defensive efficiency to kind of fix the offense and maybe play a little bit faster. So you look at all 4 of these guards, man, shot 34% or better from 3. Brock Harding was at 40%. Lelevicius was at 38%. I'd expect right now that Harding and Jaden Pierre would to start. That would give the offense basically 2 point guards on the floor. Harding's a playmaker, 33% assist rate, but he did struggle with turnovers, 23% turnover rate. He's going to have the ball in his hands. He's definitely got to cut down on these turnovers. What you do like is, when he plays off the ball with Pierre or just really any guard, like he has catch and shoot ability, 85th percentile in the country last year. So Dixon can use him in a bunch of ways. He's not a complete liability defensively, but he's barely 6 feet tall. So you worry about Pierre and him being 6'2", 6 foot, right? That talk about maybe taking a little bit of a step back defensively to kind of pick up your offense. But I think he's quietly one of the nicer pickups. Pierre, look, I haven't been the biggest fan, especially when we've been talking DFS about him over the last couple of years, but really thrust into a tough role at Providence. You don't want him to be a high volume guy. I think if you scale his usage down closer to where he was like at a freshman year, 16, somewhere between 16 to 18%, not 21, 22%, I think he's going to be much more effective. He is a floor spacer. He does have deep range. He does have some playmaking chops. So he's not known for his defense, but I think playing these 2 together, at least offensively, could be a little bit dangerous. And then Lelevicius, man, like big guard. He's like 6'7" on the wing, man. 99th in the country in offensive rating last year at a 16% usage rate. You absolutely love to see that, man. That just means he's a really efficient player. 84th percentile catch and shoot, 81st percentile in the spot up. So the guy can make open shots. So if Harding and Pierre can break the defense down, man, he's going to be wide open, knocking down shots. This is the type of guy that can really jumpstart your offense and create some space for your bigs to operate down low. Toulson, just a nice redshirt sophomore year at Utah Valley, just kind of gets better every year. This is going to be a big jump for him, right? Going to the Big 12 here. You can see him as more of like a 12 to 14-minute specialist, right? A guy that gives you some size on the wing. He's good on on ball screens. So they're coming off ball screens here. So yeah, man, like I think we're going to see a little more offensive firepower. I think Torvik has them right now upwards of 50th in the country right now projected, but taking a step back defensively. So I think Dixon's kind of seen the issues with running some guys out there that can't make 30s, and it just really, really craters your offense, man.
Bunch of guard play right there on your screen, and Darren bringing up the fact that maybe what they give up in athleticism, they gain in effort and court IQ. Hey, it is what it is. They're the first guys in and last to leave a lot of the time. So you can say what you want to say about
lunch bell.
Bring their hard hat to work every day for sure. But hey, we talked a lot earlier. We talked about the 3 guys at the jump, Scott, Stewart, and Ojanwa, that are all guys in power conferences going to other power conferences. And then as we put a spotlight on these TCU guards, the only one that's really not at that top level is Toulson, right?
Yeah.
So like all of these other guys, Layla Vicious, which was easy for me to say earlier, right? Layla Vicious, Pierre, and Harding have all played at that higher level there. So, Dixon is going to find a way to utilize what they can do. And then whatever you get out of Toulson's a bonus. Like, that's a guy that if you have to play him a ton right away, something bad probably happens. Something went wrong, right? I don't think he's going to be that guy right away, right? But you're going to need him at some point. You got to have a deep bench in college basketball. And we'll see if Jamie Dixon can get the most out of these 4 transfer guards. Excellent stuff there, Mike. And, of course, I fully anticipate Jamie Dixon to finish above 500 this year. Very unlike a team of his to finish right there, so average and pedestrian. They fit their record
they did.
last year. They did, but
I might say they might have overachieved by a few games. Honestly, it was pretty ugly out there.
9 games in the Big 12 last year, and that's all. That's coaching. Like when you can extract that sort of results out of what that team looked like at times last year. Like shout out to Jamie Dixon for sure. Got a great chat going on in the live chat right now about Dallas Maverick All-Star representation there. Wow, my God. Mid-90s All-Star representation. Shout out. And Jamal Mashburn, that guy could score the basketball, man. Like, what a baller. What a baller. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all these guys now in college that have sons playing in college ball, it's just that doesn't help. It just adds to my back pain that I just tweaked my back earlier tonight already, just swinging a tennis racket lightly. Yeah, made me talk about Jamal Mashburn Jr., not even just Jamal Mashburn. But anyways, let's keep it rolling there. Mike, we talked about TCU's class. How about UNLV? A new coach here, opposite of Jamie Dixon, right? Long-tenured coach there in Fort Worth. But now in UNLV, Kevin Kruger out the door. The tenure came to an end this offseason as the Rebels made a splash in the coaching carousel with the hiring of former Georgia Tech coach Josh Pastner. Pastner's always been a guy known for his recruiting, his ability to find those diamonds in the rough. Spent the last few years as a college basketball analyst on ESPN. If you recognize the name and you're like, why do I Josh Pastner? Like, why do I? If it wasn't from Georgia Tech, it's because you've been watching him break stuff down on the 4-letter network. So now he'll steer the ship out in Vegas for a program knocking on the door in the Mountain West, Mike, and he's landed 5 of our top 500 transfers as well. Dre Gibbs Lawhorn from Illinois, Kamani Hamilton from High Point, Miles Shea from UC Irvine, Law J. Dembele from Iowa, and then Nas Cunningham, redshirted last year at Alabama, but still a lot of talent there for Cunningham. So looking at these guys, Mike, not as many of them all coming from that power conference level type of a play. And Cunningham obviously sitting out last year, so didn't get that experience last year either. So what are your thoughts here for this incoming transfer class for UNLV and Coach Pastner? What are your expectations, and how do you think this will help them fare out there, Wes?
I like what he's done, man. I think he's done a great job in the portal. Obviously last year, Deaton Thomas the last couple of years. Deaton Thomas has been carrying the program, hit the portal, headed to LSU. But, don't sleep on Dre Gibbs Lawhorn as a person that can fill in some of the production. Not the same player, right? Like not the same dynamic type player, but, really, really don't know what his ceiling is because he's kind of done that, that 15 to 18-minute role at Illinois last year is really just a slashing guard. But he's really strong getting downhill. Man, look at the 78% field goal percentage on nearly a third of his attempts at the rim. So, this guy can get to the basket and he can finish. He's got to get better with facilitating. And I think he's going to have that opportunity now. That's not what he was kind of asked to do at Illinois, and he's got to improve his outside shot to kind of round out his game. But I think the ceiling there, especially in the Mountain West, I think it's pretty big for him to be a all-conference type player, man, if it all comes together for him. And I do like the pairing with Miles Shea. We like to talk about how these guys kind of fit. And then Shea, where we're talking about Dre Gibbs Longhorn is a guy that wants to get downhill on you. Like Shea's a guy that can spread the floor, 89th percentile in catch and shoot. He has some ball screen game that he can score off of. He's got to cut down his turnovers as well, because like we say that all the time. But there are some question marks on his ability to get it done against above average competition, which is something we always talk about with mid-major guys. But I kind of give him the benefit of the doubt. He's got to grow as a player, and he's just going to be a junior. So I think we can get a little bit more out of him as well. But then you look at the two next to each other, and then you put him with Kamani Hamilton, who we loved at High Point last year. I had him rated much higher, but I just keep looking at what happened against Purdue. And I'm like, it's just tough, man, because the Mountain West is a really, really tough conference. So I think he's got a really great opportunity in front of him here. I think he's going to make an impact. Obviously, started his career at Mississippi State, so he's got those recruiting chops there. 63% at the rim on over half his field goal attempts. So you like that. He's a pretty good passer, good decision maker, good rebounder. He can shoot off the dribble. Pretty versatile. I think he could actually play some three. He was 78th percentile scoring as a ball screen handler from the 4, which is, that plays really nicely, especially with someone like, Miles Shea, right? And where he's absolutely dangerous with 90th percentile and pick and roll as the roll or pop man. So when you talk about Shea, who can shoot it from 3, and you talk about Dre Gibbs Longhorn, who can get downhill, well, you can pop off of Dre Gibbs Longhorn and you can roll. So off Shea. So it's like one of those things, man, where he kind of fits both guys because he's so damn versatile. And then you look at Dembele and Cunningham, and Dembele's going to be like that guy, strong rebounder. He can actually shoot the 3 as well. He's got some catch and shoot ability for a big guy. Cunningham, I think this could be like the lottery right here, Jay. Former top 50 recruit. Might be a guy that we look back on and say we had him rated entirely too low on our big board. And he's a big-time shooting guard with really good athleticism. We didn't see him at all because he redshirted, playing for almost, one of the top 8 teams in the country last year. The knock on him in high school was that he tended to disappear. But his upside, according to Eric Bosie of 24/7, is that he could develop into one of the most dangerous wings in the country. So one of the most dangerous wings in the entire country, Josh Pastner, I think he's found some good fit for this roster. I think he's got some upside with Gibbs Longhorn and Cunningham with this roster. I kind of like what UNLV is doing here in year 1 under Pastner.
Hey, tell Cunningham not to worry. The rap on me in high school was that I would disappear sometimes too in the middle of a game. So that's okay. Even the best of us sometimes find a way to go missing for sure. Yeah, Mike, you talked earlier about Dayton Thomas heading out. Jalen Bedford also, who came off the bench for UNLV, now out at Virginia Tech. I actually spoke with a couple of Bedford's family members, and I told them that I was kind of surprised to see him make that jump to go from UNLV all the way out to Virginia Tech. But that's another, that's 10 points off of UNLV's bench last year that aren't there anymore. So there's going to have to be a ton of talent utilized to its fullest potential here for the Running Rebels for sure. And Coach Pastner, let's see if they can get it done. We'll be interested to see the good old days of Grandmama out there, Larry Johnson. Oof. Feels like
Running Rebels, man.
Feels like
times.
That was so it's 2025 now. So that was 35 years ago. Is that right?
God. Oh. Yeah.
Oof. Goodness gracious. Live chat is hopping. Of course, Bob.
Live chat is aging themselves.
Yeah, a lot of people right now talking about some of this stuff. I've been seeing this. Babu hopping in, saying that he hopes he wears a sneeze guard. Why not? If Anthony Davis can have the unibrow and Luka can have his gut, why can't he have his sneeze guard? Everybody has their thing. Everybody has their thing for sure. Peanut Butter Posse talking trading cards. I love it. I always love to see a good rookie card discussion. Darren, you're saying Taco Bell's in Dallas put out Mavs Big 3 cards. If you could give me a Taco Bell Jason Kidd rookie card, my man. Let's have a chat about it. All right, good stuff there. Hey, keep the live chat flowing. Loving to see it, Mike. There goes TCU and UNLV's classes. Covered them just like that, and we hope you enjoyed it. One more thing before we get out of here, Mike, after those spotlights, why don't we shift from team spotlights to just some spotlight on some individual players with some opportunity. Just basically like waiting for them to take advantage. Are they going to shatter through that glass ceiling, if you will? Are they going to find a way to realize their potential at some of these at much larger schools and much tougher competition, and others sort of just trying to find their way? Dylan Andrews committing to Boise State after spending time last year at UCLA, averaged 7 points and 3.5 assists for them. Barry Dunning, now a Pitt Panther, formerly of South Alabama, averaged 15.7 boards and 2 dimes for them. Josh Reed leaving Cincinnati for We Are Penn State. 5 points and 2.5 boards for Reed last year. TK Simpkins, as you can see right there, number 284 on the big board over at drroto.com from Elon. No, not that Elon. From Elon, now another Oregon Duck here on the show tonight. Mike Simpkins averaged 16.5 points, 3 boards, and shot 37% from deep last season for Elon. And then Tyler Cochran, formerly Minnesota, and has committed to Rhode Island. So nice 5-pack here on the screen. Mike, some guys just sort of looking to break through. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so we'll start at the very top, man. Dylan Andrews, I think he's going to find much more success in this Boise State offense under Coach Rice. Like, kind of got lost in the UCLA program over the last couple of years. We were just waiting and waiting and waiting for him to have that breakout. He was Tiger Campbell's backup. We were like, okay, former 4-star. He's going to kind of just play his way into it, and it just didn't happen, man. So I think he's going to be surrounded by some floor spacing. Should open up the floor for him a little bit. I think he's going to be able to do some things. So definitely interested to see how that move from UCLA to Boise State's going to change his game. Barry Dunning, well-traveled guy. I mean, he's finding himself back into the P5 level. He was the number 1 player out of the state of Alabama by a lot of recruiting services. He started his career at Arkansas. He didn't play much. Then he transferred to UAB, didn't play much there. Then found a home at South Alabama, was first team All Sun Belt last season, and now he's coming back. He's going to the P5 level and playing for the Pitt Panthers in the ACC. So he's got a really good chance to start the 3 or the 4. Not so worried about him making the transition, although he's very young in his career, right? Obviously, just not being able to get onto the court. Obviously, last year we saw what he could do. There is some concern, right, that you're going to make that jump again. Is he going to kind of fall into the kind of the same scenario here? But I think with Pitt and kind of the offseason that they have, they're going to give him the opportunities to break through here.
So is Dunning like the Drew McIntyre of Pitt, of this scenario where you're at the big company, right? And then you have to go away for a while and redefine yourself and who you are. Yeah. Coming back in. And we're talking WWE here, folks, for those of you that that aren't into it. But it's more of a comparison of a guy that really has all the talent there is to have, but it just doesn't work out for them in that moment. And you got to leave and go figure it out and then come back to that high level. Could Dunning sort of fit that role in all seriousness?
Yeah, I really do, man. I mean, you look at the size, you look at the recruiting pedigree, like you look at what he did last year. I know, it's at South Alabama. So we got to see it at the P5 level, and sure. I'm not gonna fault him for, not making an impact his first year at Arkansas when they had a, loaded squad, and then,
fighting for playing time.
Yeah, and it transfers to a UAB squad that, I mean, this UAB program is not a joke. Finds the opportunity, but, how much is 1 year difference in getting some playing time at a smaller school like South Alabama? We'll see. He's kind of one of those guys where they're hoping to hit the lottery with him. We'll see if that works out for him. Reed, we saw some flashes from him last year. Like, he can score, he can rebound from the wing. He's going to find himself with plenty of offensive opportunities looking at this Penn State roster. Defensively, he's got the size and strength to allow him to guard multiple positions here. So I think he's going to have to be a big-time player for them to have a chance to be remotely competitive. Simpkins got deep range, man, 81st percentile in catch-and-shoot situations. He should play well next to Jackson Shellstad. Also a guy that you can run plays for. He was 89th percentile scoring off of ball screens. And he actually crushed tier A plus B teams on KenPom. 4 games. He had nearly 125 offensive rating, which, Jay, you mentioned the other day, like, some guys just play better when the lights are the brightest or when the competition is the toughest. And he was definitely that type of player. Those 4 games against those tougher opponents, 125 offensive rating versus 107 on the season. So Do have some concerns defensively with him, but a quality ad. And then Cochran, like he beasted at Toledo a couple of years ago, injured last year. Technically, I think this will be his 7th year in college. Now he's going to Rhode Island, where I mean he should probably get that same usage, if not more, that he got at Toledo, where he was balling out. And I think obviously he can kind of refine himself and find that opportunity, to really do some things at Rhode Island. So yeah, looking forward to kind of seeing these guys who. Yeah, I just wouldn't say they're necessarily under the radar because we've seen these guys. The 2 guys at the lower levels have scored, right? They've made all conference, and then Dylan Andrews, Josh Reed, Cochran. Like these are guys that have been to the Power 5 level, but we just haven't quite seen them reach their full potential.
Dylan Andrews going to Boise State. Barry Dunning heading out to Pitt. Josh Reed committing to Penn State. TK Simpkins committing to Oregon, and Tyler Cochran. Dr. Cochran, our guy, Ryan Osterman in the,
hey,
in the
what
chat.
Up, Ryan?
What's up, man? Good to see you there. My guy in the live chat. Yeah, Dr. Cochran there committing to Rhode Island. Good stuff there. Good to see everybody in the live chat, and good to see this transfer portal sort of starting to really shape itself out. Teams are sort of, we got a blueprint, Mike, for what most of these teams are going to look like. There's still some guys out there, Mike, some big names that are still floating around out there that are still going to shape the way some teams and even some conferences may end up looking. But
is Rhode Island really an island?
That's fair. It's fair. It is the smallest state in all the land. I know that much. But I am not aware of if they are really, maybe it's like a piece of it. Maybe there's like a part of an island, and then they just sort of like the rest of the state. They're like, well, we can't just have this island be the state. It has to be. Let's give it that 80 square miles right there.
You sir are correct. The state of Rhode Island is not entirely an island. While the state is named after the Aquidneck Island, which is a large. Okay, we'll stop there.
But as long as we understand that I was correct. Okay, very good. All right. Good stuff there. All right, Ryan Osterman over there with Bracket Bids. We had some fun at Bracket Bids and bracketbids.com, so make sure you bookmark those guys. Here we go. We're back. We're back here. Make sure you bookmark those guys over at Bracket Bids for all of your bracket bids and super fun fantasy basketball stuff for college for the tournament next year. For sure. The live chat's looking hot. We definitely appreciate everybody for being in there tonight. No Rodney Terry talk tonight, unfortunately. Darren, thanks for bringing that up and always making sure that I don't know if Los Pollos Hermanos is hiring still or not, but I don't think he'd get that job either. So good to see Darren in there. Ryan Osterman, of course. Who else? Peanut Butter Posse. Our guy Cam, Huggins, CT Huggins, the man of many names. We definitely appreciate our guy Cam. Babu hopping in there as well. Good to see Babu in the live chat. Eric the Blue at Fantasy Nav in those Twitter streets pushing the buttons tonight behind the scenes. Hopping in there as well. Steve Boynton, shout out Steve for hopping in there as well. At the Real Napier, CC Hustle, the Hall of Famer, Chris Napier hopping in there as well. Our guy Nape doing stuff out here behind the scenes. And every once in a while you see him on screen too. He's pushing buttons some nights. We're spreading. We're all doing our part here in the One and Done universe, and we appreciate you, our viewers, our listeners, our subscribers, however you're taking this in. We appreciate you for doing your part in the One and Done universe and pushing all those buttons as well. That's right, Darren. Everybody tell somebody you love them. Take care of yourself for sure. Follow that guy at MC Holland 34 on X, the captain of the One and Done ship. Yeah, I'll do it for you right there, my friend, right there. Wakanda forever, Mike. Yes, for sure. Follow him on X at MC Holland 34. At One and Done CBB is where you can find. I'm not falling for a Peanut Butter Posse. I'm not saying that name on air. It's okay though. We're good. So Helix, our guy Helix. I'll do some research on Mr. Meshack. Okay, I'll let you know. But good to see you in there. Make sure you tell somebody you love them. Follow all of us on Twitter. Follow at One and Done CBB on all the socials. And really, tell somebody you love them. Take care of yourselves. We appreciate all of you for sure. Don't go too far. One and Done's never too far away. My name is JAYHEINRICH. Come again. We'll see you.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.